NBA Finals preview with Coach Mikhail McLean. So the Los Angeles Lakers and the Miami Heat have faced off 2 times this past season. The last time their game was played was December 13th, which resulted in a loss for the Miami Heat, 113-110. Jimmy Butler got a chance to tie it at the buzzer after the shove on LeBron James and a possible foul call on Anthony Davis for 3. But this Miami Heat team is completely different from the last time we've seen them play against each other. Some of the game keys that the Miami Heat's going to focus on is limiting the Los Angeles Lakers to transition opportunities off of makes and misses, no second chance opportunities when in the zone, take away mid-post entries, and have composure versus the Lakers' aggression on defense, and also make the Lakers defend multiple actions. We'll take a look at the Miami Heat zone defense that they run 12% of the game in the regular season. They did a really good job playing zone in the regular season, but their zone has stepped up to another level in the playoffs. Every genius in the room knows that the way to attack a 2-3 zone is to get it to the middle of the zone and force the zone to collapse. The Miami Heat present another difficulty because they have elite defenders at the top of their zone defense in Jimmy Butler, Jay Crowder, and Andre Iguodala. When this zone was played against the Los Angeles Lakers in November 8th of 2019, you could see how porous their defense was. They had Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, and a lot of guys that just didn't really impact the ball. So LeBron James had a clear passing lane. There was no length so that it can force deflections. And the Lakers got the ball to the middle whenever they wanted to. This zone is going to be a lot more difficult to score against with Jimmy Butler up top, Jay Crowder up top. I think we're going to see a lot more minutes from Derrick Jones. And it's just going to be a lot more difficult to score because they're going to force LeBron to make passes against trees. There's going to be a lot of length to get deflections. But as you guys can see, the Lakers scored whenever they wanted to. The Miami Heat zoned the Los Angeles Lakers 30 times in this game that played November 8th of 2019. And the Lakers scored on 15 of those 30 attempts. Something that the Lakers also focused on was crashing the offensive glass. Bam Adebayo is the only guy that's really a threat to rebound from the lower side of the zone because they have Jimmy Butler up top. Now you have Goran Dragic and Tyler Hero that aren't going to box out their guys. So Bam's on an island trying to box out Anthony Davis. It's going to be Dwight Howard and a lot of guys. And we're interested to see if the Los Angeles Lakers is going to decide to continue to play big or play small ball with Anthony Davis at the 5 or Kyle Kuzma at the 4 or Marcus Morris. Something the Lakers did really well in the playoffs is getting their transition off of makes and misses. Whenever Kyle Kuzma checks into the game, it's his job to sprint the floor hard and attack the defense. They did this against the Nuggets and the Rockets, along with Portland in the first round. You can see as soon as LeBron catches it, he's looking down court to make the pass. Why play offense for 30 seconds if you could score in the first 5 seconds of the clock every time you get it? And it's going to present a challenge to Miami Heat to sprint back on defense to set up their zone. Now, let's take a look at the Los Angeles Lakers game keys. I think a big part of their game keys is to force the Miami Heat into one-on-one isolations because they're at their best with their ball movement when Bam Adebayo is making DHOs, Jimmy Butler's coming off of pick and rolls, Goran Dragic is coming off of pick and rolls and making spray passes out to the three-point line. I think they need to top block their shooters in transition, which is Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero in transition. They like to run a lot of away and wide actions to set pin downs or DHOs for their shooters to come off of it. And that kind of just sets up their entire secondary offense. It could turn into a screener. It could turn into a rescreen pitch. And it's just a lot of different things that Miami Heat like to do because they love attacking in the first 10 seconds of the clock. They also need to continue to sprint on offense, the Los Angeles Lakers, to attack the Miami Heat defense, like I mentioned in the previous clip. The Lakers also need to continue to focus on generating deflections, which they do a great job of. And I think they need to have 15-plus deflections to turn into offense. And they also just need to continue to dominate the offensive boards if they decide to play Dwight Howard big with Anthony Davis or JaVale McGee. Now we're going to take a look at some of the things that the Miami Heat does really well in their zone. We're going to look against their series against Boston. So the Heat keep their 2 best defenders, Andre Iguodala and Bam Adebayo up top, or Jimmy Butler, so that you can't switch hunt, which is something the Celtics love to do, and Jay Crowder does a great job guarding Kimba one-on-one. Most NBA teams want to set that screen to get the weaker defender, but their best defenders are up top, which prevents this. The Heat do a great job with their length forcing deflections and generating offense. You're going to look at some of the things that the Celtics tried to do to expose them. And the Heat, look, they ice the ball screen and they get a deflection on Marcus Smart. It's a lot of different schemes that the Heat have in their zone defenses allow them to be really, really good. So we look at this possession here, right? Goran Dragic's stunt forces Jason Tatum to think that he can go left and attack the slot where Iguodala is. We're going to see on this same next possession, similar situation. Dragic stunts, gets back, Iggy's on the ball, Jimmy Butler gets flared, and you can just see it's so hard to score against all that length, and Bam Adebayo makes a hell of a play getting the deflection where I think he sprained his finger. So this is their late game zone defense. The Heat decided to play zone at the end of games, and it's actually come back to bite them a few times. If you guys remember the shot that the Raptors made at the buzzer, the Heat were in a zone defense at the time as well. So this is their late game zone side out of bound defense. You can see some actions that the Lakers might look at and think that they can get to if they get into an end of a game situation and they need to use an after timeout action. Even the possession where you guys always remember the hell of a play that Bam Adebayo made, but if you look at it, the Heat's in a zone defense right now. Jason Tatum gets downhill, and Bam Adebayo had arguably the best play of the playoffs thus far in a 2-3 zone defense. Baseline out of bounds, there was zone as well. You see Jimmy Butler and Jay Crowder's up top, best defenders. Jimmy Butler gets a deflection, and it's just so easy to read the eyes of the offensive players. We can see as well, Jimmy Butler's in the zone. He gets the crackback deflection, steals the ball. This is something that LeBron James is going to be really good at exposing because he's a really, really good passer, and he doesn't need to play in isolations as much. This is some bad defense that the Heat played, where they allowed penetration in the middle or the slot and allowed the Celtics to score. You can see Kemba decides that he just wants to bust the middle of the zone. Jimmy Butler's anticipating the pass, and Kemba gets a score. These are things that the Lakers are going to look at to see if there's any weak spots in the zone they can expose. So now you can see they like to run their zone in transition as well. So now Jimmy Butler's at the bottom of the zone as opposed to the top, and you have Tyler Hero, who's a weaker defender at the top of the zone. You can see the Celtics going to snap back, pass it right back, and attack Hero in a closeout, which normally wouldn't happen if Crowder or Iggy or Jimmy Butler's up top. They keep their weaker defenders in the bottom. This is a wheel action that the Celtics ran. You can see the overload, and Jason Tatum slips right to the middle with 3 people on the left side. Just some things that Frank Vogel and his staff's going to look at as ways to try and expose the defense. This is another play as well. Jaylen Brown is going to set a flare screen on the outside of the zone. He's going to slip it to the soft spot because Bam Adebayo has to honor Daniel Tice in the slot. These are some actions that we can see that the Lakers ran. This action might have been an accident, but you're going to see that as soon as Kyle Kuzma lifts, Anthony Davis is going to pin the backside of the zone, which is Duncan Robinson. As he has him on his hip, Quinn Cooks tries to make the pass, but he throws a turnover. But just look at that as something the Lakers might look back at too as well. So this is an overload action that the Lakers ran against the Heat. You're going to see the sides overloaded. Danny Green comes over for a 3, and he gets fouled on a 3-point shot. Just some things for Frank Vogel and his staff to look at. All right, so this is a through action. LeBron James ends up getting a wide open 3 because the bottom of the zone has to stunt the pass on Danny Green, which forces Bam Adebayo to come out and contest LeBron. If Bam decided to do that, I can see the Lakers running a cross screen action for Anthony Davis to get to the block.